get into the fun legal stuff. Start out with a story of my mom. Sometimes people are capacitated but are not making wise decisions. So here's the situation. My mom moved to Brevard County from Miami. In her corner, she has a professional guardian, an elder law attorney, and my sister is an RN with hospice. One would think you have the dream team, right? Right? Not my mama. Because she raised us. She knows better. So, my mom falls. I think this was her third fall. Breaks her femur. She's lying on the floor. Can't move. She calls me. She calls Rob. She calls Deanna. We call 911 as we're en route. We arrive on the scene. Mom's doing great. Well, not really. The EMTs are saying, let's take you to the hospital. And she says, no, I'm fine. Mom, you're not fine. You're lying on the floor with a broken femur. You're not fine. Right? She has capacity. So I tell the EMT, I said, look, I'm her attorney. I'm her healthcare surrogate. I'm her son. Get her to the hospital. You know what they said? Can't. She has capacity. So the trouble with all of us as we interact with half of our population is we are now put in that position of determining when are they just being stupid and when are they unable to make a wise decision. Because as a lawyer, I've studied our Constitution, and Mason, one of the associates with our firm, can concur because he is a constitutional expert. You have the constitutionally guaranteed right to be stupid. And we see people exercising that right every single day.
Yes.
Right? About a year ago, we had this cute little malnourished kitty come by our house, and I said, maybe we should feed it. Stupid. That kitty's still around. It won't go away. On and on. If you voted, no, we won't go there. Right? But we all make stupid decisions. So the statute actually provides us the ability or the guidelines that seem not helpful. Because on the one hand, we as a society, we as a community want to protect our seniors' ability to conduct business. Of course we do. We want to protect their dignity. We want to protect their rights, their constitutional rights. On the other side of that, we want to make sure that they are not being neglected or exploited as they're conducting business. And as Robin and everybody else has talked about, it's not a clear line. Not a clear line at all. Very, you have someone coming in and they want to cash everything out. They're 85 years old because their friend gave them a tip on cattle futures.
Oh my.
Do you do the deal?
No.
We've got some liability issues as professionals on what we're going to do or not do. So when we get to definitions of terms, the statutes give us what we need to be looking for so that we've got indicators as to when we're supposed to call in a rescue, and maybe, like Farrah said, sorry, I'm not taking the liability even if you're competent. And it's like, I'm gonna get sued, and I'm gonna spend a couple days in depositions with Mason over here on the other side, right? I don't want to be in litigation. So when we're looking for abuse, we're not just looking for stupid decisions. People do that. What we're looking for is significant impairment, that they are incapable of making a wise decision. So that's what we're trying to judge. It's gray, guys. It's not black and white. We are doing our best to conduct business with them. Do they have the ability to consent? Do they have the ability to make a responsible decision, even if they're not making one? We were talking about a kind of notorious, what I like to call the Anna Nicole Smith estate planning model. So If we have someone comes in and buys a car and he's 85 and he's introducing his 18-year-old girlfriend that he's buying a car for, exploitation or just a really cool 85-year-old? That's what we're trying to figure out. Now, if she's coming back every 6 months with a new boyfriend buying her a car, now it's starting to look more like exploitation. But where is that line? And as Sheriff Ivey said, if you see something, say something. Let them do the investigations. They're the experts. But our job is just to report when we think exploitation is going on. Now, when it comes to deception, you're looking for, are they misrepresenting? Are they concealing something? Well, Daddy, you bought the car for my sister and for me, and if you really loved me, you would buy one for me. What if, what if, what if? Exploitation gives us a definition. Again, you have all the statutes. These are just reprints from the statutes. So number one, you're looking for a position of trust or confidence. That the person that is with them, that is standing in front of you, looking to contract with you, home health care. Oh my Lord, you need to make sure you have a good solid contract with the work you guys do. Wow, just who can contract with you? Is this person a trusted person? Are they in confidence? Are they family members? We'll get into more definitions later. Are they being deceived or intimidated? Are they saying, I'm not going to feed you if you don't do this, or if you don't, then I'm going to leave you, or are they maneuvering, manipulating, things of that nature? Are they obtaining or using the property of this person for their own good instead of for that person's good? We had one of my clients that she's been my client since 1997. Just an adorable lady. She continued on to work with us as our notary for a number of years. Sometimes we would have to make house calls because, as you know, a lot of our seniors are not very mobile, and so we would need to go to them to notarize documents. A couple years back, she comes in with her daughter, and because I've been her lawyer since 1997, I know this daughter was always written out of her documents because she didn't trust this daughter. But now, my client comes in and, oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm like, Lillian, I've been your lawyer for 20 years, and you were our notary and everything. What do you mean, nice to meet me? Oh, do we know each other? Clue number one. Long-time relationships that she doesn't even know who I am. Clue number two. And this nice lady here drove me here, and that's your daughter. And she says that I need to change my documents. Starting to think something's stinking, right? And then I say, okay, I'll need to see my client alone, which I always do. Oh, no, I need to come with her. Oh, no, you don't. Oh, yes, I do. She relies on me. If I can't come with her, then she's not coming back. I said, exactly right. Then she's not coming back. So finally, realizing she was kind of trapped, I brought back my client alone. And I said, so tell me about your friend. Which friend? The one that brought you. Oh, yeah, I think she's my neighbor. She's very nice. But how long have you known her? Oh, I just met her. So, would you contract with her? Absolutely not, right? But those are the types of things, just you want to put it into normal conversation. You don't want to make it seem like an interrogation, or you're not the detective trying to grill them or read them their rights or anything like that. But we as businesses interacting with our seniors who deserve and need our respect, we need to start thinking in those terms. Are they at risk?
Do you report that?
Absolutely.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, in this particular case,
Find someone else.
and I'm limited because of the attorney-client relationship.
Right.
And so I need to walk that line very carefully, that that kind of line doesn't exist for a lot of our business people. But I said, I documented it very well, did a big memo and everything in my file, but sorry, I cannot have you sign any legal documents because consent and ability to consent is one of the big requirements. So when we get to what does it mean then to obtain? What's going on there? One is that you're taking control. You're transferring property from them to you or for your purposes. You know, we get it all the time that sibling number one is the one taking care of mama and sibling number two is the one calling in once a month to tell them what a crappy job they're doing. Well, I deserve to get more of the inheritance because I'm the one taking care of mama. And the other child is saying, well, yeah, but you've been living rent-free for 2 years. That's the trade, right? But no, I deserve it. Watch how many times when you watch commercials, how many times you deserve this. Yeah. Number one sales, right? You've earned it, right? Is there fraud? Is there misrepresentation going on? False promises. All those kinds of things we're going to be looking for. We're looking for, is this person in some sort of position of trust? And the statutes actually do it pretty well, considering a bunch of lawyers wrote it. Surprising. But one, we're looking for a relative. Do we have a parent, a spouse, an adult child? Do we have a joint tenant? We did this account together, and now all of a sudden one of them is using it as a highly skilled financial advisor. You know the family, you've gotten to know them, you've interviewed them, and you know that they put their money in here together because they wanted to do business together or whatever the reason. And now all of a sudden one of them is taking all the money. Warning, warning, warning. Something's going on here. This is someone they trusted enough to open up a joint account with, but didn't do that. Laura, I know we've talked about this, another fine financial advisor, we've handled a lot of clients together. And it's like, okay, what's the best fit for them? And then if they say, I want to put a pay on death to child number 3, because thirds are always the best. It's true. Mom always told me, right? And you know as the financial advisor that mom wanted all the kids to get everything equally. Now who's really your client? Who's got that position of confidence? Are they a fiduciary? Do they have some sort of court appointment? Are they a power of attorney? Well, both of those positions hold what we call a fiduciary duty, right? The very definition of embezzlement, bless you, is that someone that you have entrusted to manage your money mismanages it. They are in a position of trust. They owe you a fiduciary duty, and if they breach that duty, then that's what embezzlement is. A lot of times the caregiver, again, going back to the Anna Nicole Smith estate planning model, right? All of a sudden this young hot thing is taking care of grandpa, and now all of a sudden a lot of money is going to her bank account instead of grandpa's. Those are some warning signs. We need to be aware of what's going on. Okay, how many people do we have in this room? No, raise your hand if you're a person. Kind of concerned that was a confusing question. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can ask the person next to you. Okay, contrary to popular belief, Florida Statutes 415 is the Adult Protective Services statute. Any person is a mandatory reporter. Mandatory reporter. A lot of us think Well, I've got to have the training of Janet to be able to understand dementia. I've got to have the training of someone who's used to working with seniors. Now, the statute goes on, and this is where it gets confusing. The statute goes on to mention health professionals, nurse practitioners, state employees, advocacy groups, banks, financial advisors, trustees, employees of such organizations. It goes on to give those as examples. But if you are a person, you are a mandatory reporter. And we've talked about either DCF or calling the Sheriff Fraud Unit. There are ways to report.
And Scott, differentiate please between suspect and absolutely know as a fact.
Okay, except that the controller of this meeting told me there would be no questions.
That wasn't funny.
Okay, so we've got a scenario where Jim comes in with Amy. Jim
Yes.
is 87 years old, and they come to the fine establishment known as Toyota of Melbourne. Not that I'm biased, but all of my family has bought cars there, and they're wonderful. Shameless plug. You can pay me later, Julio. And as they start talking, and Amy is obviously motivating, maybe even manipulating Jim as the favorite daughter to buy her a car. And you as the salesman, you start to see this, and you're kind of running it through your mind. What is it? Is it something where I suspect a problem? See how I'm going right back in there? Do I suspect that there's a problem? Where Amy is kind of dropping hints, but it's obvious Jim knows what's going on and he's of his right mind, and certainly what daddy wouldn't want to give a nice gift to his favorite daughter, of course. Those are good things. Or is it that Jim is saying, well, my friend here wants to buy a car, and she says I should pay for it because she's taking care of me, and she'll stop doing that if I don't buy a car. Black and white, lot of gray. So absolutely, if you know that there is neglect or abuse or exploitation going on, you call 911. No question about it. You get them right in there. You bring the cops in and you have them arrested. Suspecting, gray zone. We think, we're not sure, smells fishy, does it pass the smell test? That's where we can call the fraud prevention hotline. We can call DCF. We can call our favorite case manager. We can bring in someone to help us and do an investigation. Because a lot of times in that very short meeting that you have with them, you're getting hints, but you're not really sure. Things just don't seem right. So as a business who wants to conduct business with half of our population, what do we do to protect ourselves? And I know that we want to make the sale, we want to do business, and if we don't, the guy right next to us will, right? So let's get the sale, right, guys? We got a quota to meet. On the other hand, you want to make sure and document the entire transaction. And here is what I would encourage you to do. Always have the mindset that if the other child, that really is the favorite child, finds out about the deal, would they know enough and would they suspect enough where there is no way you should have done a contract with dad? Second, I want you to think, if I'm being grilled by a litigator for making this deal, and they're trying to undo the contract that just turned my brand new $40,000 car into a used $30,000 car. Stop that. Am I going to win? So practical tips you can do. One is I would encourage you to develop an incident log. If you are dealing with someone and you start to have these suspicions, you're not sure, but you suspect. You call in your supervisor and you say, you know, I've got a situation that seems kind of iffy. I want another set of eyes on this. And I would encourage you to document everything, both of you giving your impression. This is what we observed. And then from that conversation that you're going to have, the two of you, two independent eyes on this, you are going to make one of a few different decisions. One, you are going to say, we can't sell you a car, I'm sorry. There's just too much liability. Not going to do it. Two, we feel comfortable enough that even though there is some diminished capacity, you still have enough capacity where we feel comfortable selling you the car. It really is that Amy is doing a great thing and you want to give her a nice gift and you have enough capacity to make that decision. Absolutely, let's do that. Third, you're going to call the cops or you're going to call a case manager and you're going to report the exploitation or abuse because it's that obvious. It's no longer a suspicion. It's an absolute, you know what's going on. Now, something that I have done that some of you may consider extreme, but here's always the question, how much protection do you think you need versus the right to transact business? And you're always trying to find that line is, if I have a doubt, I tell them I want a letter from their doctor. For me, that's not extreme. It's going to save me a couple days in court being deposed. Well worth it. Just say, look, I want to sell you this car, Jim, I really do. But I need to be concerned, and here's a non-threatening, not in their face way to do it. I need to be concerned that somebody, one of your other children or your spouse that you didn't tell this about, to, that you're buying your daughter a car and you're using her money, I need to be concerned that we may get sued and you would be brought into that lawsuit and it could cost you thousands of dollars in legal fees. So just to protect ourselves, what I think would be a good idea is I want a letter from your doctor stating that even though you have some diminished capacity, that you do have sufficient capacity to contract, buy a car, contract for home health services. When in doubt, get the power of attorney involved. I think you need to be careful. Just let me talk to all of your kids to make sure that everybody agrees, because they won't. But when you choose a power of attorney, then you are choosing someone that you trust to give them that level of power, and it is a lot of power, but whether it's for your home health care needs, for buying a car, for making your financial decisions, whatever the business being conducted, you have taken the time and spent the money to name a power of attorney. And that means you trust them even when you are not able to defend yourself. You've got someone who's going to watch your back. We've already heard where you report the abuse. You have that in your notes. Call DCF, call the sheriff. I never knew that they had a fraud unit. Like, what a wonderful thing that our sheriff put that together. So if you see something, say something, suspect it, that's the way to go. And I always end my talks with my favorite lawyer joke. What's the difference between a lawyer and a tick? The tick will jump off when you die.